This is our time to wish and hope and dream about everything that Disney can bring us in the next year or two to come. The D23 Expo is sort of, I don't know, I guess you would say, maybe it's the Comic Con of pure Disney stuff. Of course, Disney expands into Marvel and Lucasfilm now, and Fox News and everything else, that isn't purely Netflix or Hulu.
Well,
But
I don't think they own
yeah,
Fox News, but they do own like all the entertainment properties that they bought from Fox. But yeah,
okay, well, Fox.
yeah, 20th
But
Century Studios, as it's known now.
yeah,
Yeah.
so in any case, I don't think they're going to be dropping anything about like Hannity has a new, I have an
Oh yeah, no,
exciting
I
new
don't.
adventure, but we won't get into that. It's just this is where we're going to see all of the exciting hype building announcements that will have us on the edge of our seat for the next year about everything that will be released in theaters on Disney Plus, Disney Channel, Disney, Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. What do you think we even like, are there rumors so far that we can sort of expect to be delivered?
Um, okay, so I think the general conjecture around the internet, as it would be, is that they're gonna announce things that people are expecting to see, but they're also going to then announce things that nobody like. It's gonna be left field announcements, like stuff that nobody thinks is in the works, and out of the blue, like for example, they might all of a sudden say like, oh, Nicolas Cage, please walk onto the stage. We are announcing the next National Treasure movie, and like Jerry Bruckheimer, please come on stage and talk about it. Like like that. That's the kind of left field stuff that they can potentially announce. More likely, what like people are expecting that they will talk about is things like Andor is going to be coming out in September 21st. So that's
Mm-hmm.
literally like a week or so after D23. So I'm anticipating that they will probably give us some promotional material that we haven't seen yet for Andor. They're also probably going to dive into maybe a first look teaser trailer or behind the scenes footage of Indiana Jones 5. So, Harrison Ford coming back with that.
Is Shia
They,
LaBeouf coming back too?
no, I don't. No, I don't. As far as I'm aware, he's not involved with this movie. But
Drat.
so this weekend, as we're doing the show, John Williams is doing his annual Hollywood Bowl concert, right? So they run Friday, Saturday, Sundays, Labor Day weekend in the U.S. And this weekend at the Hollywood Bowl, during his performance, he unveiled Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character's theme in Indiana Jones 5 as part of the
Mm.
concert. So that was a piece of news that came out this weekend. So if you were one of the lucky ones who went to those one of those 3 nights, so I mean, I think today, this Sunday evening, they're going to do another, the last of those 3 days of performances. So I don't know if that means that they play the same set of tracks every day, but if they happen to perform it again, you can go get a little preview of what that music is going to sound like in Indiana Jones 5. So
That's cool. She's actually I like
yeah,
her. I like her a lot. She'd be
yeah.
an
I
interesting
mean, John
addition.
Williams has said that will be like his last movie that he scores before he like really steps away from music composition, like for at least
That's a good
movies.
one to go out on.
Yeah. I don't he never like was made it concrete like that he's retiring for sure. It just made it seem like he's stepping away, stepping back. Maybe he's gonna do some other things. I mean, the dude is like 90 years old. He's like 90,
Transition to
91.
directing stunts.
Probably not that, but I mean, I think he's earned his time off at this point. If that means
For sure.
retirement or if that means he just wants to take a break, he's done enough for Hollywood in general. I think he's given his creative touch to some of the most iconic movie franchises of all time, from Harry Potter to Indiana Jones to Star Wars to
Lincoln.
what else? I mean, name it. Like what was it? Home Alone, Christmas times. I mean, classic stuff. There's even things like Willow. Like there's projects that he was a part of that people forget that he was a part of. Like Superman's iconic theme is probably the most iconic superhero theme for any superhero property, Marvel or DC. So
I think
yeah, he's
Star
done
Wars
some
might
great
be
stuff.
bira at this point
Yeah. Well, no, I mean like superhero,
for a
like genre.
superhero. Yeah.
Yes, but like yeah, no, I mean it's up there. They're all up there. Like it's subjective, really. It's people's perspective. But anyway, getting back to D23,
Yeah.
maybe they'll be like, this is a Disney legend. They unveil John Williams as a Disney legend. I think they usually announce those ahead of time. Like a few years ago, Robert Downey Jr. was given that, honor. Like he's a Disney legend now. I think that was when he had just wrapped up his run as Iron Man after the I'm
Mm.
Iron Man moment in Endgame. But looking ahead, they're also probably, this is something a lot of people are expecting. They're expecting to get a big Fantastic Four announcement. Like they're gonna probably announce, and it's some insiders are actually at this point saying that they're going to announce the cast of Fantastic Four. Uh, this past couple of weeks, we have been getting news that Matt Shakman, he dropped out of Star Trek 4 at Paramount, and there were reports before that happened were suggesting that he was in the running to be the director for Fantastic Four. Now, you don't drop out of a major studio picture at a different studio if you don't have another big job lined up. So at
Yeah.
this point, it's basically confirmed without actually having been made official that Matt Shakman will be directing Fantastic Four. So we know the director. It's not official yet, but we basically know he's directing. What we don't know is who's going to be starring in the movie. One of the
But
people
people
that
have some ideas, don't they?
they do. I mean, John Krasinski, I already put it up. John Krasinski, he
Yeah.
was fantastic, Mr. Fantastic in, was it Earth
Multiverse of
838
Madness.
in Multiverse of
Yeah.
Madness?
So
Did
yeah,
But Penn Badgley is like the care actor. I think he was in New Girl. He's
and
somebody who
you.
what?
He was in You, I believe,
Yes,
Gossip Girl, and
Gossip
You.
Girl, not New Girl, Gossip Girl. That you're right. I messed
And
I
he's
messed up
he's a
those
good
shows.
he's a great actor. He
Yeah.
does strike me as a little young because I think one of the charming aspects of characters like Tony Stark and like Reed Richards is that they're like middle-aged dudes. You know, it's not everybody has to be Spider-Man where it's like I'm a little kid but I can take on the world. It's like no, I've been around. I'm a smart dude. I'm an adult. That's kind of a nice. I could buy that more from John Krasinski, I think.
True, but like I think they're looking at this fantastic. I mean, from Marvel's perspective, I think they're looking at setting this Fantastic Four franchise up long term. So it's kind of like when they went and cast Tom Holland for Spider-Man. They weren't thinking
Right.
about like we need to do a trilogy of movies. I think they were thinking like we need to do a trilogy of movies. So like
Yeah.
9 films. Um,
Well,
so
that's the
starting
other thing
young
is
probably helps with that.
well, younger, but even in the comics, Spider-Man confers with the Fantastic Four a lot, um, and I
Yeah.
don't think that Tom Holland is coming back for
There's
Spider-Man.
nothing official yet, and honestly, I'm starting to get a little concerned. I mean, hey, again, this might be one of those things that, although it's a Sony property, like they have the rights to. I mean, it's a Marvel thing, but Sony has the rights to it, so it's unlikely that we'll get a ton of Spider-Man announcement. The only thing I can see is the animated series that they have coming on Disney Plus soon,
Hmm.
which is meant to be a prequel to the trilogy of films they just did in the MCU for Spider-Man. But
Unless the time has come for Miles Morales outside of the Spider Verse,
Well,
you
even
know.
that would be a Sony thing, because all that's still within the sphere of influence of what they control the rights to. So I don't, I mean, yeah, actually, get the point I was trying to make before was I'm starting to get concerned. We haven't heard a lot about what's going on with that Tom Holland contract, what's going on with Disney and Sony's, because I think that last movie that they just did was all that they had agreed to. Like officially, that's it. There's so to do anything more from here in terms of collaborating with Sony on the Spider-Man franchise, they would have to strike a new deal. And they, at the time of the release of the movie, as you would expect them to say, because of course, why would they say otherwise? They were saying that yeah, we're already working on the next thing, but right now we know what Phase 5 is going to have. Like basically everything in Phase 5 was laid out at Comic Con. We know like the big hitters in Phase 6. There's a lot of gaps, but none of those things were connected to Spider-Man directly. And
Yeah.
I'm I don't know. I don't. I mean, are they just going? Is Spider-Man just gonna like kind of disappear into the background of the MCU? Yeah, that's a concern of mine, potentially. But by the way, some out of left field stuff that might happen. They might. I put this on the graphic. They might actually announce the new Tron project. It's been sort of rumored for a long time that they might want to do a sequel to the movie they did with Olivia Wilde and what was it? Jeff Bridges came back in that movie for a cameo. It connected to the original film, so it was like in continuity. They might
The
announce a new
biggest the
one.
biggest question I would have if they did more Tron is would that mean that Daft Punk would get back together to do this to do the score?
Oh, I would love to see that. I
Me
would love
too.
to. I mean, The question, of course, is would Daft Punk love to see that? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a
and they
big
blew
question.
themselves up in that video, so I don't know.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's hard to come back from that. One of the other things that they'll probably give us a more of a preview of is Willow. They're turning it into a TV series now. The Lucasfilm project from way back in the day. It was I think originally a movie, and now they're making it a TV show. They already put out a trailer a long time, like a while ago, and I'm feeling that we might get more of an insight into what that's going to look like. It's going to come out on Disney Plus this fall or winter months. And I think in November it's dropping. So those are again, like some of those things that people are expecting to see. But again, we might be surprised by they might give us a title for the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie. They might tell us like the release dates for the next Star Wars movie that comes out, because right now we know there's a lot in the works, but there's no Star Wars movie that is officially titled or scheduled to come out. That Rogue Squadron movie that what's her name? The director of Wonder Woman. God, I'm blanking on her name. Was it Kathy? I'm gonna look this up. But basically, they announced it a couple of years ago, and she was meant to direct the Patty Jenkins. That's her name. Patty Jenkins. What the hell? Patty Jenkins is the name of the director who was announced for Rogue Squadron, and we had that whole cutscene of her like going up onto an X-wing on an actual runway in California and in the Mojave Desert, and that movie has sort of gotten sidetracked for a while because of like scheduling conflicts and things of that nature. And she's still working on Wonder Woman 3, but they took it off the
They're still
schedule.
going
So
with
I'm
Wonder Woman, huh?
wondering if that's back on for the next couple of years. Because I would love to see that movie, like the idea of a X-wing squadron a focused movie in Star Wars. Because I'm a big like aviation fan. Like I loved and ate up Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, and
This
you
could
know
be
what?
like the Star Wars of Top Gun Mavericks. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that would change things up a lot, because we've talked about how Star Wars starts to feel redundant because they're telling the
Yeah.
same story with different characters. If you reorient it to be about the pilots, don't do a Top Gun, don't just remake Top Gun, but you could establish an entirely different culture that's separate from Jedi, and just have these guys
Yeah.
who exist in the same world. This is what I've been saying. You could even have them be. I know this is maybe controversial, but we were talking about like Star Wars comedy in the same universe. You could have the crass like guys just being like, "Yeah, we got to go out," and like it would be so much fun. They go to the cantina and they're like, yeah. It's an opportunity to have fun, and I hope they take it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking. So for me personally, I think the biggest things I'm looking forward to is I am, like most other people, I want to see what that Fantastic Four team is going to look like. I
Yeah.
personally liked like the Miles Teller, Kate Mara, like Michael B. Jordan iteration of the Fantastic Four. I think they were given a terrible script, and the movie had a lot of issues behind the scenes in production. I think the director got fired halfway through or whatever. But if I mean, I feel like that movie was cast well.
Those are all
Unfortunately,
fantastic actors. They're all
yeah, it was
fantastic actors.
executed terribly.
I like the original. I
Yeah,
know that's not a popular opinion. I actually preferred Chris Evans as the Human Torch. I thought he sold that character really well.
yeah,
And it's I think the key here is not to make it another Guardians of the Galaxy or another Avengers movie. Like, give them a unique dynamic, because it is a husband and a wife and a brother
yes.
and a
They're
friend.
they're known as the Marvel's first family, so I think there could be more of that family dynamic there. Oh God,
Oh,
sorry,
oh,
sorry. I
wow!
did this to us.
You
It's it's
you meant
Brother
to
never
do
told
that.
you never
Here we
threaten a
go.
man's family.
On that note, he might make a good thing.
I'm sorry, what?
You got it. Vin Diesel might make a good thing. Any do they have anybody rumored for
You're
that?
right. You're right. Yeah.
Nobody
I was like, you're
cares.
talking about what?
Everybody cares about Reed Richards. Nobody's saying anything about the Thing. Who
That's
would
the
you
thing,
have
right?
as
Like
the
people like
Thing?
to fan
That is
cast
the thing.
it's a Fantastic Four. People like
Yeah.
to fan cast 3 out of those 4 characters seemingly,
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, anybody can play the Thing, and I'm like,
Because he's going to be all CG anyway.
that's fair, right? Like, yeah, that is true. I mean, actually like the original, the first 2 Fantastic Four movies. They didn't
Yeah.
really go CGI heavy, because it
No.
was relatable. I mean, I can buy it. Like, and I think with the VFX technology today that's better, you can always supplement it with CGI. It's sort of like I
Yeah.
think the Iron Man suit got worse at the longer the more movies he was in because they went heavier and heavier into CGI. And not only that, I mean I think the first Iron Man movie had a lot of the full suit in complete CGI. It
Yeah.
definitely did. But the realism of the suit kind of like went down like the toilet because by the time we got to Endgame, it was this nano suit that was just popping on and off like magic, and you couldn't really believe it as
Yeah.
much. But like I think that the thing you need to like make it at least semi-real. Like just get
It's
your like
it's
prop
always
department
better.
out there, your costume production designers,
This is what we were saying about the Rings of Power,
something
is that
practical.
there's a
Yeah.
hybrid of practical and CG, and I think that's where you hit the sweet spot. You
Yeah.
adjust things, but you have to do some pre-production in order to make it compelling and realistic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up looking
Which
like
I mean, all of
She-Hulk.
these they do it. Like right now, Disney's got teams of people working on like prevising this movie, working on costume designs and everything well ahead of even attaching a director to it officially. All of that stuff because again, Marvel like sort of is like a factory. Like that's how Marvel Studios works.
Yeah,
They're a machine that runs where the director. It's basically one big TV show, and Marvel and Kevin Feige is the executive producer and the showrunner of this show. And then they bring a director in to direct an episode, which to us looks like a movie or a mini series on Disney Plus. So they've already
yeah,
probably got a lot of this like locked and ready to go. They just need to make it official, and I think that's going to
right.
be a big for the fans. It's going to be a big announcement, and I'm looking forward to seeing it because then again, people will start judging and either saying you made the wrong choices or they're gonna be like this was perfect, you picked the right guy. I mean, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
People are going to
Well,
probably criticize it. So
that's the other thing,
yeah,
is that like the fans have gotten really, really entitled, and they think that they can. And I guess they willed it into existence with John Krasinski for that one movie, but
which
you
look,
know,
Kevin, that's Kevin Feige saying, "Hey man, I'll throw you guys a bone," but that doesn't mean now you give him an inch, you take me for a mile. Like don't do
yeah,
that. Like yeah,
we don't democratically elect our Avengers, or any TV character for that matter. I think it's fine to react and say that was a bad call, but you know, give them a let the studios do their job. Let them do what they're doing, because
yeah. I
generally
mean,
there's some
there's
thinking that goes
casting
into it.
directors like Sarah Haley Finn has been doing it from day one, and they've clearly hit on more than they've missed on. They're good at their jobs, like, and so if you have some doubts when they make the announcement, I would suggest keep those doubts in mind, but then give the movie or a TV show or whatever medium they come out with these characters in, give it a fair shot. Judge it on its
Yeah,
own merits. Don't go in with preconceived notions of what you want this to be. Like that's where I think a lot of fans fall into the trap. They like to they have like a certain picture in their mind of what they want to see from a certain franchise or a certain character. And then they go into it saying if it's not that, I'm going to hate it because why how dare it be anything different than what I want it to be. And I think that's
by
the
the way,
wrong attitude because
I know
then you
this
can
is
never
going
give
way off
anything a fair viewing. So
this is going way off topic. I
yeah.
watched The Last Airbender for the first time. It's not that bad. It's
I
not
have
that
not
bad.
seen the movie in its entirety ever, but from what I have seen, it's like based on if you were to go
It's
by the
based on the
animated
show.
show,
Yeah.
it's it's very different. And I think that's
It's not
again
that
like
different.
it flopped
It's it's
because people
it's
wanted it
it's
to be the animated
compiling too
show.
many things. I will
Yeah.
say that. It's too, but like I don't know what more you could possibly want. I'm going to be really interested to see like what if these other
Yeah.
adaptations come out and for some reason they're better, they're regarded as better. I'm going to wonder what it is. And maybe it's just a matter of pacing, but I did not have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that I had with it was not necessarily maybe even the story. I mean, like Roland mentioned a while ago, they were calling the main character Ong instead of Ang, which by the way, that's probably just the like that's probably in my opinion, Ong is probably the better, more
A more, yeah,
accurate
they call him
pronunciation.
Soka, but it's
Yeah,
like it's not like they didn't
yeah,
watch the show. Those were decisions they made. Maybe
yeah.
that's how they justify. Yes, this is an artistic interpretation of it, but they did a pretty solid job
Yeah.
replicating the scenes from the
If
show. We
anything,
don't have.
I think. what the movie's cardinal sins were the VFX execution was bad, and some of the cinematography was not very inspired. Like it was, I think you could have put a better cinematographer in charge of that film, and you could have had a director who could have. I mean, look, M. Night is known for working with movies that have VFX heavy, but for some reason in that movie, some of those like fire wind effects, like were, like in the animated show, like you could, it's so artistic, whereas in the
Yeah.
movie it felt lackluster. And I think that was where, like for example, you compare that to the what was that movie that came out? The Mortal Kombat movie that came out last
Hmm.
year, right? You compare the visual effects of that, and you have all these fire elements and wind and ice happening. Avatar has a lot of those things, and I think Mortal Kombat did a fantastic job of just like making it look good on screen, and it was done for very little money, relatively speaking, for a big studio movie. And I think like any live action avatars should try to, you know, master those elements,
Right,
because
but the
even
next
if the
one, the
story
next
is
one is going
lacking,
to
the
be
CGI should be good. Like that
the next
execution,
one's going to
I
be
have
a
no excuse
Netflix
for.
show, isn't it? It's
It
going to be a
is.
Netflix.
And
Those typically have a very uniform look. Like if that's I'm going to be surprised if they fix that.
well, The Sandman was fantastic. I mean, that might get a season two, and it looked like one of the best shows of the year. I mean, maybe not as good as Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, but it definitely is up there. So I trust Netflix to make a good show out of it. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It won't be
Me too.
one of the things that they will announce at this D23,
I
but we will
know, I
talk
know.
about
Sorry, we got way off topic here.
we will talk about
But
D23 next week. All the big announcements, react to them, analyze them, break it down. We'll provide our opinions on, if whether we like the Fantastic Four cast or not, and whatever else they announce. Maybe we will be talking about how they use deep fakes to put Harrison Ford's face on a younger stunt actor that's doing all the stunts from an Indy 5, and it looks bad. Like that's one of the things I can see us talking about potentially. So
yeah, I could see
uh,
that. That felt
yeah,
very real. All
that
right,
could
well then
happen. Yeah,
we'll meet back next week and we'll talk about everything that actually happened there. In the
yeah.
meantime, be our friend. Keep us updated. We're going to keep you updated. Comment, like, subscribe. Find us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, anywhere you get a podcast. This has been Oh So Curious. It's been a pretty fun episode, I would say. But stay tuned. There's going to be more stuff happening next week. We'll see you later. Have a good week.